Did you know that 29 people in the US die every day from a drunk driving accident? This is a topic that I've decided to talk about because it's one moment in my life that I feel like I learned a lot from and grew from, so I wanted to share it with you guys. The summer after I graduated high school, I had a couple friends. They decided to go down to Ginny Springs. They had had a couple drinks, and on their way home, they unfortunately got into a drunk driving accident and passed away. Now, alcohol has a very big influence on people, especially my age, about like the 15 to 21-year-old age. And it's about the time you start driving too. So drinking and driving really does have a correlation with each other, and it's really up to the individual if they want to separate those and not deal with the consequences of their actions because of it. It's to the point to where alcohol is such a big influence that about 30% of 15-year-olds in the US today have had at least one drink. So that's about the time that you start driving. So there's that correlation there. This is something that I struggled with a lot emotionally, just because I struggled with finding out why this happened to these specific people, why this was happening to our friend group, why this was happening to their families, and I just couldn't understand why this was happening. And that's why I decided I will not be drinking and driving, and that's why I hope to persuade you, and maybe you'll persuade some of your friends to not drink and drive. One of the main points is just the impact that it has on your body when you drink. When you're drinking, it really does apprehend your actions and the way that you react to things. They actually call it the 3 C's, which is your concentration, comprehension, and coordination. So concentration is, going down the road and seeing a car come and having it not stop and being able to put your foot on the brake real fast. When you don't have that concentration, you don't see that car coming really quick, or you don't see the red light that you're going up to and you just go right through it. Comprehension, pretty much the same thing, which is just thinking about things and really figuring what your next move is going to be and making the smartest move. Whenever you're drinking, it impairs that, so you might not make the smartest decisions. I mean, you've always heard of the kid in the frat house that jumps off the pool and breaks his rib, and that's part of that. Another C, last one, is coordination. So that would have to be with your eye, hand, feet, the way that your body reacts to things. This really does have a really big effect, because think about it, you're driving, your hands are on the wheel and your feet are on the brake and the gas. So it's really important when you can distinguish which is the gas and which is the pedal. So, that's just one of the main impacts. Your body obviously gets very fatigued and tired after you've been drinking for a long time. And now I can sit here and explain to you the effects that alcohol would have on yourself, but to some people that's just not enough. So maybe it's enough to just think about the impacts that it has not only on you, but the people that are around you, especially the people who your loved ones, your friends, your dog that you go home to. It's just people that you don't think about that are really impacted when you make these stupid decisions. And that goes to my next point, that, one of the big impacts from drinking and driving is that you impact your loved ones and your friends. It's a huge emotional impact if there's a death in the family or you just get arrested. There's a lot of guilt, grief, and emotional baggage that comes with it that, could eventually lead to suicide for some people. Imagine a mom losing her daughter to a drunk driving accident because some idiot decided to, have a drink after work and then drive home. I can only imagine that the pain of losing one of your children would lead you to possibly being a suicidal person. Another impact that it has on your loved ones is financial. Whenever you go to court just for these kinds of things, if you get a DUI and you have to go to court, it's about $500 to $2,000 per visit. And, that adds up after a while. And you can imagine that if you died and you got into an accident, your family has to take on that burden. And that's not easy for some families. And, another thing that I like to bring up is think about your dog. You leave your home because you're going out to go party, you're going out to go where, and your dog is like, okay, goodbye, and then expects you to come home, and you never come home. It's just someone who sits there and waits on you and loves you, and that's like a perfect example of someone that you don't think about, that your actions can impact them. My last point would be, the long-term effects that drinking while driving can really have. Now, while some of the effects that I explained, like the financial, the emotional, the dog, those are all temporary in a sense, and they eventually do go away. But there are some things that happen that are long term. The simple fact of, let's say your friend dies, you'll never be able to celebrate holidays or even their birthday with them ever again. And essentially the only remembrance that you have with them is through pictures and items and collectibles. You never get to, hold them in your arms, give them your last hug, kiss them on the cheek, whatever. You don't get that physical void that you've been looking for, and you have to get it through pictures and stuff like that. And also another thing that I think is super sad is, their death date is now a holiday in a sense. It's a day that you don't forget, and every year it comes around and you just think about it, and that's one of those long-term things that, let's just say a mother, daughter passes away in an accident. Every day that day comes around, she's going to go to her daughter's grave and put flowers on it because that's the day that she died. And that's just one of those sad realizations that, it's really not worth it. It's not worth it to drink and drive, and I really hope that my points were persuasive enough to kind of persuade you in a sense to not drink and drive, and that to understand that even if you don't think the effects on yourself is enough of a reason to not drink and drive, you shouldn't think about yourself. You should think about others. Think about your loved ones, your families. Think about your dog. Think about people that you wouldn't even think about that would care about you if you did these stupid things.